Alright, welcome back. So what we're going to do today is actually going to be a little bit different. We're going to be doing property parameters, and what we're going to do is, this is basically a property checker, and I'll just make a class and run it so we can have a little class. It's a property checker. We're only going to use the initial. We're not going to do anything in update right now. This is just to show you in the init or how it works. And then we're going to have two private variables, one called property parameter pointer and one called property pointer. So yeah, so let's build that, and once you build it, let's mute out everything else because we're going to be doing this on just as a display purposes only. So just right click anywhere else, get a node dummy, place it wherever you want, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a property. So just right click on your asset browser, we're going to create a code, and we're going to create a property. You can choose whichever base you want. Normally on the safe side, just choose node base, and for this I'm just going to choose a random name. So we're going to do a property checker check. It's because of some reason I can't use checker, but anyways, here we are. I'm gonna add the new property and I'm just gonna slap it in here. Now, in order to fix these properties, you actually have to right click, show in Explorer, and then you have it right here is what we need. So we're gonna right click. We have the ability to edit with Notepad or with Visual Studio. I'm just gonna choose Visual Studio because it's easy. Alright, so how do we do this? So we have about 3 different documentations for this. So what I'm going to do is first actually just copy and paste this stuff. But if you don't want to copy and paste it, let's just show you over here. Once we zoom in, and it's not zooming in, oh well. So first things first, we're going to remove that, and we're going to do a slash property. So that gives it the whole folder right here. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually use 2 things. So we have the ability to use either structs in this property parameter, so we can design a specific thing, and we have the ability to do parameters itself. Okay, so first let's just show you the parameters. So first we're going to do parameter, and then we're going to do the exact same time. We're going to use name and we're going to use type. So we're going to do name equals and then give it a name. So let's just do ID and then type. Let's just give it a type of int ID, and we're just going to do a / and just give it like that. And then another one, parameter name equals to name, and then type equals to string in lowercase, and just save this. And if you're looking for what type of properties we can have, they're down here somewhere, right here. So the type of parameters inside the property file format, we have these different types of parameters that we can use. If you're a little confused, a switch is your boolean type between different, toggle is your boolean type, and switch is between different, like a switch function. So let's just save this. Let me just save it here. And we have a property check here, and now we have the ID and the name here. So let's just call this object and ID number, I don't know, good enough. Okay. So now that we have this, let's actually also add the other property, and we're going to add the property checker. So that's why it was making a mistake, because we had our class name property checker. Okay, so we have property check and we have property checker. So how do we go into our checking, or go into getting these properties? So actually it's very simple. I'm just going to keep this muted, and over here we're going to write the part. So how to get a property. So if you go back here, you notice that this node itself has two properties. Property number 0 being the one that we just made with our ID and name, and property number 1 is the class that we're handling. So what we can do is actually a node get property, and we could choose the number property. So we chose number 0, and we're gonna actually use this as our pointer to the property pointer, because this is actually a property pointer. So we're gonna use property pointer equals to node dot get property. So now it's linked to this guy, and what we're gonna do is actually we're gonna get the parameters in it. So if you want to check it out, you could actually just do a property parameter arrow get name, and you'll find the name property check. So there's that. Now how do we use the other thing? It's actually going to be with a parameter pointer. So we just do parameter pointer equals to, and there's a function within the property pointer. It's called get parameter pointer. And if you go inside here, you'll actually notice that there are 3 overloads in total. And each overload, there's an ID, a constant character name, and just a regular parameter pointer if it's only one parameter inside. So what we're going to do is actually use the number, because this is a parameter number 0. As you can see, this is parameter number 0, and this is parameter number 1. Alright, so let's do something with it. So now that we have these parameters, if I remember correctly, parameter 0 was an int. So what we can do is Unigine log, right, message, and then we could just write hi. Let's just do some writing. Okay, name of property, and then we'll do a %s and then /n. So, and then we just put a comma, and we do the property pointer get name, so we can actually get the name and see if it worked. Then alright, and then the parameter name, and then we do a %s and just a little bit ID number, and we do a %d, and then just 2 commas. And what we're going to do is actually parameter pointer name, get the name, alright, and then a parameter pointer get value, alright, and then we do a dot get int, because it's an int. What's it called? Actually, no, I'm gonna be making a mistake, because we're getting the, actually no, I was correct. The parameter name is ID, and the ID number is going to be that, because we're taking the first one. So let's actually test it out. And now we have our parameter name as ID, ID number as 15932. So you can see that this worked. Don't worry about the red one, because I didn't do that yet, but you can see that the parameter worked, the ID worked, the property check worked, so it's pointing correctly to this property. Now, why is this important? So for future, let's say you have a specific structure of items that have specific properties, like for our example, which we have a shotgun, right? We can have the reload time, the bullet chamber, the amount of max bullets, the speed of fire, rate of fire, recoil, all that could be written in a property, and each gun can have the same amount of property, just different variables. And we can have one class taking care of all these properties and then do something with these. Alright, so that's the basics of parameter properties and property controllers. So other than that, I am pretty pretty much done for this quick little episode, and we will talk more about other stuff later. Alright, see you all next time. Goodbye.